Now, I love that clip from Glengarry Glen Ross. Not from the attitude coming out of Alec Baldwin's mouth, not from the words he's using, none of that, but because it shows all the different means you can use to motivate a sales team. So again, we're going to think about this for a direct sales force that's 10 or 20 people strong, even as small as the movie, maybe even 5 people. What are you going to do to make sure that that sales team is doing their job? And just be clear, their job is closing sales, right? So what can you do to help motivate them to close sales? Well, first and foremost is quotas. A quota is a number, is a certain number of sales, usually in dollars, that the salesperson is expected to close, often within the quarter, sometimes within the month, and in quick sales within the week. So each salesperson has an assigned quota, and they're expected to make quota, it's called, to make the number of sales at or above what number they were assigned. With the right quota structure, you can change the behavior of your sales force. You can get them to do what you need them to do rather than what's easy for them to do. So first of all, you're going to over-assign the quota from what you need to make as a sales team. So in this case, you're the sales manager, whether you're the CEO or there's a sales manager between you and the sales team. There's a sales manager with 10 salespeople, and there is a quota for the whole sales team. There's a number that's expected for the company to bring in for that quarter or that month or that week. All right, so you're going to split that goal across all the salespeople, and you're going to oversubscribe it because not every salesperson is going to hit the quota. Despite all your efforts, despite everything you're going to do, some of the salespeople are going to miss quota, it's called. So you're going to over-assign it so that at best, you beat the number. You beat the number of the goal, and at worst, you're missing it. That's bad. But since some salespeople will meet it and some will not, and you've oversubscribed, you'll hit the number anyway. Within this quota system, there's a bunch of different things you can do to incent the salespeople further. Again, first and foremost would be commissions. So you're not just assigning a number to them. You're not assigning a goal. You're going to pay them something when they hit that goal. Commissions can be anything you think up. There's many different ways to do this. Again, none of them are correct. None of them are best. The simplest way is they get a percentage of every sale they make. That's a very simple quote. It's often 5, 10, 15, 20% of every sale goes to the salesperson. And this is how they become the best paid people in the company. That's nice, but it doesn't give them a forcing function to hit quota. Right? 80% of quota will give them 80% of their commission, which may be good enough for them that pay period. How do you get them to get to the actual quota? Well, maybe there's a different level of commission depending on where they are in the quota. The first half, they get a small quota. The second 2/3, they get a much bigger quota. And that last 10%, they get a much, much, much bigger quota. Adds up to the same 5 or 10 or 15% as you would as a flat rate. But it incents them to go and get that quota number. And of course, you can give them a bonus for beating quota. Because if they beat quota, you bring in more money, the company does better. So great, give them an even higher incentive if they beat the number you put in front of them. Similarly, when you're trying to figure out how much your whole sales team is going to sell, what's really important is that the salesperson hit their quota and make it every time, every week, every month, every quarter. And so you probably want to give out bonuses for someone who's consistent, right? So if you're the sales manager again, and you have a sales team, and you have one player on your team, you have one salesperson who one quarter does twice what you assign, and the next quarter does half, and the next quarter does twice, the next quarter does half, next quarter does half, next quarter does 3 times, and so forth. Well, on average, that person's doing quite well. That person is doing the quota. But it's really hard for you to then predict what the sales will be in the next quarter because you don't know whether it's going to be a 2x quarter or a 1/2 quarter. So if you give a bonus for being consistent, for always hitting your quota, well, then that person might find a way, might be deferring sales that are over quota, but nonetheless, they'll find a way to make their sales more consistent. Your sales projections will be more consistent. Your business planning will be a whole lot simpler to do. Next on the list is contests. The people who tend to be in sales tend to be competitive with each other and with themselves. You can set up contests to get them to do extraordinary things. So going back to that Glengarry Glen Ross clip that was mentioned in there. First place got a Cadillac, second place got steak knives. Right? A big difference between those two places. Right? So there's a huge incentive set up in trying to win a Cadillac for the month. Right? The contest can be in that form. Whoever does the most sales for the year or the quarter can get a vacation, can get some time off, if salespeople like taking time off. It can be anything that motivates them to sell harder. Or you could use the contest to try and shift their behavior when you need something shifted. There can be a contest to close a specific customer, a bonus to sign a specific customer. Maybe that big whale that's out there, that big whale you're trying to close. Or maybe you want to make more sales in that specific sector because you want to move into this new sector. You want to start selling to airplane producers. Well, great. Well, you make a contest. Whoever can sell the most in that sector gets a bigger bonus for this quarter. Right? They may be harder sales, so you're incenting the salespeople to go that way and do something that they ordinarily wouldn't do, and you're doing it by a contest. Or if you watch reality TV shows about restaurants, there's a great contest I love watching, which is the first server to sell one of everything on the menu gets a $100 bonus. And that's nice. You can think of, if you're running a restaurant, it's going to be random what people order. And what you order in order to have one of everything on the menu, well, you may have stuff left over. You may have to throw away things. So maybe if you have some chicken and it's going to go bad, you have the contest. Whoever can sell the most chicken or whoever can sell the last chicken. Right? These contests can actually do wonders for motivating the sales team to sell harder. And lastly, we have a culture of how the sales manager manages the sales team. So what we saw in the Glengarry Glen Ross clip was yelling at salespeople. Motivation by yelling and screaming and telling them that they're not worthy. Well, unfortunately, the reality is there's a lot of sales management that takes that form. It's not healthy. It's not good. Don't take that form. What you should do instead is figure out how you can help your salespeople sell more. You should sit down and listen to them. Right? They are, if you're the sales manager, your customers. What is bothering them? What are their problems? And what could you possibly do to help them make sales quicker, to get customers through the funnel faster, to make sales happen in less conversations between salesperson and customer? Listen to that feedback. Listen to what they're telling you about the customers and be their coach. Coach them through this, right? Think of sports coach versus manager. Sports coach tries to bring the best out of everybody who works on the team, right? Who's working, who's a member of that team. Manager far too often is sitting there making sure everybody is following the rules. The rules are nice, but in sales, there's really one measure of success: making and closing sales. What can you do to help your team make and close sales faster? The next exercise for you to work on is to sit back and assume that you have 10 salespeople. You have a company that's earning $2, $3, $5, $10 million a year now. You have 10 salespeople making those sales. How do you organize them? What structure do you use for them? And what motivations, what do you put into your quota system and your commissions and whatnot on how to make them make those sales, how to have them make more sales next year? It's a good idea to think about this now before you hire the second and third and fourth salesperson. And it really only takes maybe a half hour, an hour of thought now. And as we know, your plans will change, but at least you'll have some idea for what you think is right and some idea on how you'll move forward as you hire these salespeople now.